Hey everybody, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a new episode of Let's Paint Some Minis. Today I'm actually going to be painting 5 spider minis. These are from the fantasy series from Blacklist Games. I've been slowly taking stabs at getting all of those miniatures painting. I'm ready to start back. Today with the spiders, I'm going to try, normally I batch paint them. I do them all the same color, but before I paint 4, I want to test 1 because I just have this thing I want to do. I don't want to paint them black. Black spiders tends to be the standard color, but when you put them on a tabletop, they sort of just blend in. They're not very visible. So I want to, there's no law that says nature can't make things colorful. Look at birds and stuff. And I do know that there are spiders out there that do have color, but this is a fantasy setting, so I think I'm going to go with something a little different. Now, today, as with other episodes, I tend to pick a subject and just ramble on about it, talk about it. And today's subject is something that I have been giving some serious thought to for some time, and I would love your feedback on. So let me go ahead and get started here, and I'll tell you what I'm going to talk about. Right now, my video channel, the Tabletop Engineer Plays, is where most of the action is occurring these days. I post a lot of playthrough videos, mostly solo games. That's what I enjoy the most, or what I actually play the most. Do I enjoy it the most? Well, I don't know. I do enjoy playing solo games. I wish my children and my wife were more into games like I am, and then maybe I would record some multiplayer games, but they don't, and that's okay. So I tend to play solo games, and that's what my channel focuses on. But lately, I have been pondering, well, let me go ahead and get my paint set up here, and while I'm doing that, I'll tell you. So a couple years ago, in my basement of my old house, we've since moved, but in the basement of my old house, I used to try to do a weekly Facebook live post. It was done live using Facebook's Go Live feature. And what I would do is I would just share things I was working on, share new games that had fallen into my hands. Sometimes companies sent me products, and I chose that time to focus on, sharing them with my viewers. And I would, answer questions and just jibber jabber, and people would check in, not a lot. It was, every now and then I'd get like maybe 2 or 3 on, because I usually did them during work hours. It was just, that was just the time that I spent on it. And so the question for you is that of interest to you, for those of you who remember me doing it, or even if you don't remember me doing it? I've been pondering doing a weekly, and I won't do it on Facebook. I've actually sort of been moving slowly away from Facebook on a personal note. I still use it for my channel to communicate and to share things, but I have been toying with the idea of taking it to YouTube and then doing a once a week live. I don't know what you'd call it. It's not a podcast, but it would be recorded, obviously, and available at a later time. But it's more of just a live streaming gaming hour. We'll call it an hour, because that's probably about the most I would probably want to do it. I don't even know if every episode would last an hour. But there's a lot of things I like to think on and talk about and share with my viewers. And I've been pondering doing it again. But from a YouTube channel, from a YouTube platform, from the YouTube platform, not Facebook. Those episodes would be stored and saved on the Tabletop Engineer Plays channel, mainly because my crafting channel, even though I have intentions of getting back to crafting at some point, I will admit that my interests have changed. It's not that I've done all the crafting I want to do. It's crafting for me started because I needed terrain. I needed things for the games I was playing. And then you get to a point where you have what you need. I don't I don't run a D&D game, a Dungeons and Dragons game anymore at the local gaming store. I do run a semi-periodic old school Essentials game online with some friends, and that's mainly to beta test or play test some of the adventures I write for my Delver magazine and for some other publications that I do. So it's not that I've given up on the Tabletop Engineer channel where it's mostly crafting videos hosted there. I just am not doing a lot of crafting lately. I'm doing a lot of painting. I'm doing a lot of play testing of new games, which I really enjoy. I I'm just looking to sort of expand on the things I do. Now, here's my reason for all of a sudden switching over to this. Only recently, just I would say within the past 3 months, situations have changed where there was a time, believe it or not, there was a time, I've been a tech writer for a lot of my career, but for the last few years, I would say I've done less writing on the side and more of a stay-at-home dad kind of thing. Mainly because we were just having some things going on with our kids, and I don't want to get into too much detail, but I really toned down a lot of the work I was doing. Not toned it down, I cut back. And the question recently came up. My wife and I were talking, and it's like, do I want to go back to a full-time production, trying to do 10 different things all at once? And so we looked at our finances, and we looked at what my laser company and my publishing company, believe it or not, I don't consider myself a publisher, but I was talking to someone recently, and this was a few months back actually. I was talking to a friend, and they know what I do in terms of producing content like Delver Magazine and some other stuff. I've done for other games like Airlock, or I've done Airlock for the Mothership sci-fi game. I do some generic publications for just any old game, any old fantasy RPG game. And I was talking with a friend, and he said, you do realize that you're a publisher. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, there's this unwritten rule in the industry that, when you have a certain number of publications, and he didn't tell me how many, but he did. Well, that's not true. He said he thinks it's like 10. He said, when you've produced 10 things and you're still selling them on a website, you're a publisher. Whether you put your stuff out in bookstores or not, you're a publisher. And I thought to myself, okay, he's correct. I am probably in the eyes of some people, and maybe the IRS, I am a publisher, because right now I have about 18, maybe 20 different publications that I have put out and sell, and I've got more. Believe me, as a writer, it's hard not to write. I will tell you this. It is a never-ending thing that I find I do. I have an urge to write, to create. Not just writing. I like to create things. I like to make things. That's where I got started in the crafting. It's an urge, an itch, and so I do this, and I keep doing it, and I'm not going to stop. So my wife and I were talking, and we were just looking at numbers and things, and it hit me, and it hit her, that in the last 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden, my publishing company and my laser company together, I don't really pay attention. This is going to sound horrible. And some of you are going to be shocked. Some of you might be angry at me for saying this, but I am not a financial guy. I can't balance my checkbook. My sister does my taxes. She does my books for my businesses. My brother and sister are both CPAs. They're accountants, and I missed that boat somehow. It's a joke in our family that I've got that my mom and dad have 2 accountants and one one person that doesn't really fit a mold. Um, I I have reached the point where I just didn't realize it. I wasn't paying attention that my financial situation has reached a point where I have a choice. I can I can continue to do the publishing. I can continue to do the laser company, and I don't have to do anything else. I could just stay doing this, and it's fine. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job and become a YouTuber and write adventures for a living, but I will tell you that if you did it and you don't track it, after a certain period of time, you may find yourself all of a sudden going, wow, I have a real job, or a real company that's making income and profit, and uh, it's reached that point, and I just wasn't really like super hyper aware of it. I knew that I was making money, that money was coming in, but since my sister handles the books and the payroll and it's auto deposited and all that stuff, I just wasn't paying attention to it. I'm having fun playing games and painting miniatures and making videos, and my sister was just like, yeah, we need to start finding ways to, you need to start docking some money into like retirement and so anyway, I'm not. It's not a brag. I am not making near what I made as a technical writer, full-time technical writer, when I was doing that as a job. But because I work from home, my office is this workshop. It just all of a sudden things have clicked. I don't have to go back to technical writing if I don't want to. And that was an option. I was considering doing that for some time. I'm telling you all this because it's been on my mind lately that I probably should look at some other avenues, not of income, but other avenues of just growing my footprint, right? Of what I do. I'm still writing stuff. That's not going to change. I need to. So I painted the base of the spider this like midnight blue, and the legs sort of a lighter blue. It's okay, and I think I'm going to go with that because even on the table, the legs really do stick out. So I'm okay with that. But I need to paint the bases black first because it's easier to paint the bases underneath the spider before I do the top. I should have done that, but oh well, live and learn. All right, so my point here being that one of the things I really enjoy doing is chatting with other gamers, with you guys, and so I'm looking at ways of like how do I what could I do to reach out more and get more involvement with other gamers. Somebody, a close friend, had suggested a podcast. Well, I don't podcasts. Podcasts are one of those things that you gotta be very, very regular at, and I could do that if I focused on, if I just decide, and I've sort of decided that I'm gonna run with this. I'm just gonna see how far I can go with this gaming, tabletop engineer. My publishing business is doing well. The YouTube channel is growing. I keep getting new subscribers. The YouTube channel has never been a source of income for me. And I will tell you that right now. If you're ever thinking about doing a YouTube channel, talk to some of the other ones, because I'm not the most successful. There are some really successful gamer YouTube channels out there they have way more subscribers than I do. But I gotta think that they're still working. I know some of them are, because if you think you're going to be making thousands and thousands of dollars off of YouTube for a gaming channel, no, you're not. Maybe when you hit 1 million subscribers, something will change. I'm just pulling that number out of thin air. I don't know what the number is, but given that gamers sort of, I'm not saying they have short attention, but there's so many channels, so people will jump around. They'll watch yours, and if yours engages them, they will keep watching, because as I understand it with YouTube, it's about it's not just about watching the videos, it's how long you can hold them in place, right? And I don't really make my videos like that. I've watched videos with I've watched videos of people who that's their gig. They do a lot of they do clickbait to get you to click it, right? And then they use different methods of holding your attention without actually doing anything. I don't know how to explain this, but there are channels, and I'm not talking about gaming channels. I'm talking about there are channels I watch that are like educational type, and when I think about my time that I'm spending on that channel, I'm like, well, they could have said all of that and done all of that in like 10 minutes, right? You know the channel. You know what kind of channels I'm talking about, that you watch them and you realize you just watched a 30-minute video, but it was really only 5 minutes worth of information. And most YouTube channels are like that, because the YouTube channels that succeed and thrive, that's what they want to do. They want not just viewership, they want you to stay on and stick around. And so they have to give you the hard data at a slower pace to keep you on the line, right? And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's how YouTube channels make money. That's how YouTube hosts, pay themselves and can continue to do what they do. But that's not my thing. To be fair, I make most of my income from the laser business. Although, to be fair, the publishing business is catching up. The publishing is catching up. And so my point is, when I'm making videos, they're as long as I need them to be or as short as I need them to be. I'm not really thinking about how to hold on to you, how to keep you on the line and from switching to another channel. I give you what I want to give you. You can leave when you want. I don't get offended. And that's how it's going to be. So the reason I'm telling you this is a podcast. Podcasts are one of those things that you got to be pretty consistent with. Podcasts, people who subscribe or listen to podcasts, they subscribe similar to YouTube because they want to be alerted when a new episode comes out, and they expect you to be releasing a new episode at a pretty regular clip. If you're not releasing one weekly, then you need to be releasing it bi-weekly. At least this is my experience with podcasts. And it needs to be released on the same day, at the same time. And a lot of people who do podcasts, and I've listened to a lot of people talk about, like every now and then a podcaster will have an episode on how they do their podcast. Like they'll interview the editor or the person who controls the sound equipment or whatever. It sounds like a lot of trouble. And for a one-man operation like me, I'm just not sure that that's where I want to go. The other reason I'm not big on podcasts is they're not visual in nature, because our hobby, gaming, really does rely on the visual element. We need to see the miniatures, right? We need to see the games and things like that. Decker? Thought somebody came in. I thought one of my kids had stepped in when I was recording. Sorry about that. The podcasts do not really lend themselves to visuals, and so that's why I'm leaning towards a YouTube type weekly, I don't know what show. And this show would have a format. I would try to stick to talking about new games coming out, new Kickstarters and this would all be sort of relevant. I hate to say it, it's sort of selfish, because I'm really not gonna cover. I'm not into Warhammer, for example, not into it. So you're not gonna get a lot of Warhammer news, even though it's wargaming related. You're going to get things that are of interest to me or of interest to people that I think watch my stuff, right? I probably get some Warhammer people watching my crafting videos. I don't know that for a fact. But I got to think that, because I do some sci-fi crafting, and some sci-fi playthrough videos. But the Warhammer people, they're looking for Warhammer stuff. So this kind of news channel or entertainment channel would not really be of interest to them. The stuff I would focus on things that I may not necessarily play, but they definitely fall within my interest range because I try to stay on top of what's new and what could become interesting. Um, my my when I'm going to conventions and stuff, I sometimes will play games that I had given up on originally. I just didn't think it would be of interest to me, and then I play it, and I'm like, whoa. One of the games that falls into that niche was uh, Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's a Marvel miniatures game. I saw it and I was like, I need another miniatures game like I need a hole in the head. But then I went to a convention and actually got to play a demo game, and I was like, that was fun. So I am trying to talk my youngest son, who likes Marvel and who does occasionally play miniature games with me. We're trying to get into Marvel Crisis Protocol. If I do, I would probably add that to coverage of things that I would talk about, new releases and things like that. Um, so I will say that I would try to cover things that I think could be of interest to me and my reader and my viewers. And even if I'm not interested, I'll cover it because I know that my viewers have their own interests. I tend to focus on skirmish war games, not big war game. Army sized like Warhammer. I don't really get into those kind of games. So you can be pretty confident that my coverage would be limited to games that are somewhat affordable to most people, that aren't going to break the bank with hundreds and hundreds of dollars of miniatures. Although, again, to be fair, I know people who have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Frostgrave miniatures and terrain. So you can say that Warhammer is expensive, but let me tell you something. Some of the skirmish games that you and I play, you can get them just as expensive if you like. You can go crazy. So yeah, I'm toying with this idea of a channel that would be consistent, like weekly, and it would cover new games, Kickstarters, maybe expansions. What else? I don't want to get into one thing I really want to avoid, and again, your feedback on this is most welcome. Like what you would like to see or hear in something like this, because one of the things I personally want to avoid is the dark, nasty side of our hobby. You know, I almost got pulled into this OGL. I stated my opinion on the OGL fiasco when it was going on, but like Professor Dungeon Master, I was like, you know what, I'm done. I said my piece on this. I'm not really going to jabber about it anymore, and he did too. There are other channels out there that just stayed on it, and I just didn't watch them. I would occasionally watch one if something new was released by like Hasbro or Wizards or whatever, just to see what the new was. But I wouldn't go watch 10, 20 channels who all were rehashing the exact same thing. And so that brings me to another point. I want to be able to get on live with my viewers and talk with you live, or at least chat with you via the chat application. And I don't want it to go dark. I don't want to discuss things that are contentious. I want it to be fun. I want it to be non-political. I have to put that out there. I don't want to talk politics on my show. I don't want to talk, how current events are related necessarily. Now, I'm not saying that it will never happen, because there could be something that happens in the real world that is relevant to us gamers. I don't know what that would be, but we gamers tend to be a pretty open-minded, accepting group. We may have our differences with one another, but we respect. I'm speaking generally. We tend to respect each other's opinions, right? But when you start going down and insulting people, or you're going to take, when you start talking about things like politics and religion and anything else that's in the news, you risk alienating a portion of your audience. And why would you do that? Because your audience, you're speaking to your audience from a gamer, about games from a gamer point of view. Why does politics need to come into it? I tell my fellow gamers when I meet them at the store and think, you know, I'm glad to be here, but can we just make a, and I do this occasionally. I'll say, can we just make a rule? We're not going to talk politics, religion, anything like that. And they're usually like, yes, absolutely. Because I will tell you, I have been in game stores playing games, and the table next to me, these guys would get into it over some argument that was something on the news, and why does that need to be brought to the gaming table? I mean, maybe that's your personality, and if you can find another gamer who likes to get involved and discuss the nuts and bolts of politics or religion or whatever, go for it. But in a nutshell, that will be avoided. I have no desire to bring that kind of, negativity into a discussion channel related to our gaming hobby. I'm hoping most of you are in agreement with this. If you're not, that's fine. Maybe you do want me to talk about politics. So that's why I'm telling you up front, it will not be about that. So please use the comment section below and let me know what your thoughts are on where would you want me to steer the conversations to? Where would you want me to take this new, and it's not a new YouTube channel. It would, again, as I said, it would be hosted on my Tabletop Engineer Plays channel. It would just add another element to that channel. I built that channel only for you guys to really watch me play games. But the other channel that I do mainly crafting on, that one doesn't really, that would be a good one, but I won't be talking so much about crafting. I will be talking about games, and it just felt right to put it on this Tabletop Engineer Plays channel. So definitely interested in your thoughts there. YouTube will not allow you to double host videos. Like, I couldn't post it on both the Tabletop Engineer and the Tabletop Engineer Plays. You can't do that. You have to. I don't know what the penalty is, but I do know you can't do it, and they will catch you. I believe I've seen other channels try it, and you either get flagged or a video gets taken down, and I don't want to risk losing my my channel's audience or the content that I've already added. So just be aware that it will only be in one place. That's not really open for discussion. I know that some people worry that I'm sort of walking away from the Tabletop Engineer crafting channel, and I'm not. I've explained in the past, I've got this eye thing I'm trying to get fixed, and it's coming up soon, where it makes crafting it even makes painting difficult, believe it or not. But the painting, for some reason, because it's closer to my face, it's not as bad. But anything at arm's length is just not easy to do. I posted about that in a previous video. I'm not going to go into it again, but even when I get the vision thing fixed, if it can be fixed, my returning to crafting, I don't know. I do still make things. I just don't record it. I make them like they're one-offs sometimes, or they're done with my laser cutter. And I got enough negative feedback from viewers about using my laser cutter. I would post something that I made, and people would say, "Well, I don't have a laser cutter. You shouldn't be posting that stuff because nobody has them." Well, that's true. Now I do find some people are buying the more inexpensive LED lasers, which you can get for like $200 or $300, and they will cut through 1/4-inch wood. I just happen to have one for my line of work, and I use it. I use it because it's there, and I'm going to use it for my hobby if I can. But again, most of what I do these days in terms of crafting involves my laser cutter, and people were quite vocal that they did not want to see or hear anything about my laser cutter, and so there you go. That's why you haven't seen a lot lately on that channel. Will I ever do foam crafting again? Probably. but it'll be rare, and it'll be when I least expect it that I need to make something out of foam or chipboard. I still enjoy making like spaceships and things out of chipboard, so I probably will get the itch one of these days to do another one, and I'll do it. And if I can remember, which I will, I'm sure I'll record it and put it up there. But I know I irritated a lot of viewers because I just sort of turned that channel away from that channel and I haven't added anymore. But to go back to what I said earlier, I've got the terrain I need. I've either bought it or made it or just over time made enough of it that I don't need to keep making terrain except rarely. And I don't have a regular in-person D&D game. If I did, then yeah, you would probably still see me doing some one-off stuff for the game table. But even then, I'm hesitant to do it just because for the longest time I was making one-off terrain for my D&D table, and my players loved it, and it was fun to bring it into the store and slap it down on the table and have everybody, wonder what in the world was going to go on that night with that piece of terrain. But terrain takes space, and after a while I was like, man, I either was giving some away or just throwing it away because sometimes it would just fall apart. Foam is not the most durable stuff unless you coat it in 2 coats of Mod Podge, and I wasn't doing that a lot. So the crafting channel, it will always be there. I'm not going to shut it down. My previous videos will remain as resources for future gamers. I don't know if YouTube I don't know if YouTube like takes down a channel if nothing has been posted on it for a while. So I may find that occasionally I need to look into that. I may find that I occasionally need to like upload something like an update or something just to keep the channel alive, like with a heartbeat. Because what I would hate to do is have YouTube, shut it down because of inactivity, and then have all 200, I don't even know how many videos, I know I have more than 200 videos just disappear. And honestly, I don't have time to download them. I mean, that's a lot of videos. I did at one point, I used to download the videos as backup, and I've probably got like the first 50 or 75 videos backed up somewhere on some external drive, and I'd have to find those. But if I ever lost that channel, if YouTube ever like shut it down and it disappeared, those videos would be gone, most of them, because I don't have time to download and back up all those videos. And the other problem, and I'm getting a sidetracked here, is when you download those videos from YouTube, they give you the SD version, not the high HD version. So you get a lower quality video. At least I haven't found a way to get the high definition version as a backup. And that's why I stopped backing them up, was mainly because I just I thought, oh, they're only giving me the SD versions, and it takes a long time to download those because they're I guess it's YouTube. You would think they would have the fastest download in the world, but they really don't. And their upload sometimes is slow depending on when you do it. But anyway, getting sidetracked. I intend to leave that channel fully open and available with all my previous crafting videos. I just don't see myself returning to a regular weekly crafting video like I did for 3 years, 4 years. I don't even remember. It was a long time. But I do want to start this new channel pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up by saying I welcome your input. I would love to know, for those of you who used to participate in those morning videos where I just shared new content, new games, things like that. Did you like it? Do you want me to do it again? If not, why? If you do want me to do it again, did I miss anything? Was there something that you would have liked to have seen added to that kind of morning or regular? I say morning because chances are it would probably be done during the business day, although that also is not. I may change my mind on that because obviously I want people to be able to participate. So maybe I'll do it on a Saturday, or a Sunday evening, or something when I know that I can get, you know, a wider range of an audience. We'll have to see how that works out. All right, that is done. I have 5 spiders all completed. They have midnight blue bodies, and they have like a, I don't know, a royal blue leg, and they are ready for the table. A lot of the skirmish war games I play, they have giant spiders, so now I've got 5 new ones to throw up there. All right, that's all I have for this episode. This one was a bit of a rambling episode, but I hope you got the gist of it. I'm wanting to start something regular that allows me to interact more with you in a live situation. Zoom would work, but Zoom has a limit, I think, of like 15 or 20. I forget what the limit is, but it does have a limit, and it costs money. I'd have to resubscribe to Zoom. I used to be a subscriber during COVID, but I let it go. So yeah, absolutely. I would love your feedback on this video. Put it in the comments. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. If you have any improvements, any suggestions, anything that I should avoid, tell me. Say, no, Jim, horrible idea. I don't want to hear any more from you. That's fine too. Just let me know so that I can start moving forward on this if the interest is there. All right, I will put some close-up photos of the before and after at the end of this video. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back very soon with another painting video. Until then, everybody, take care.